Hello everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about methods. So real quick, a method is basically a task or something that you want your program to do, like a specific task. And every Java program, every Java class, in order for you to run a Java program, you have to have a main method, which is this thingy right here, the one that you've been looking at all the time. So what I'm going to show you today is how to create your own methods, so like custom methods for your program to do specific tasks. Okay, so every method has something called the method header, which is what or how you define the method. And in the header, just by looking at the header, you can tell kind of what the method does. So I'm going to make a real simple method called greeting. So I'm going to say public static void greet, open close parentheses, open curly brace, close curly brace. Okay, so this right here is my method. I'm just going to go over these key items. The first word, public, means that it can be accessed from outside this particular class. From now on, all of our methods are going to be public, but I'll talk more about this later. Static means you don't really need an object in order for us to call this method. Again, I'm going to talk about that in a future tutorial, but for now, all of our methods are going to be static. Void means this particular method does not give back anything. It doesn't return anything. Okay, and I'll talk more about that in just a second. Greet is the name of this method, and then every method has to have parentheses, open and close parentheses. And this particular one has nothing inside of it. Others do have something inside of it, and those are called arguments, and I'll talk about that in a moment as well. Okay, so let's say, okay, I'm creating this method here called greet, and I want it to print a greeting. So I'm going to print a greeting. So, what do I want to print? Howdy. How are ya? How are ya? How are ya? Hello. I like it. Hello. 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 How are ya? All right, so that's my greeting, okay? So in order for me to get this to work, like right now, if I run my program, run as Java app, nothing happens because I never called greet. Remember, when you run any program, it jumps straight to the main method and it does everything in here first. So right now there's nothing in here, so nothing happens, okay? So if I write syso and I say, starting my program, and I run this, it'll print starting my program, but it never called greet. Okay, so in order for me to call a method, so right now I have a method called greet, and in Eclipse it's pretty cool. It has this little cute little circle thingy here, so you can hide it, check it. All right, so anyways, if I'm back in main and I want to call greet, all I have to do is call greet. Just like if you're walking down the hallway and you saw one of your friends and his name is, I don't know, Jerry, and you go, hey, Jerry. You call him by his name. So right now I'm calling this method greet by its name. I'm saying greet. So when I say greet, I have to put the parentheses here and then semicolon obviously at the end of every statement. And then when I run it, watch what happens. It prints hello, how are ya? Because when it calls greet, the flow of the program jumps to the greet method and it does everything from the open curly brace to the end curly brace. It's almost like a little mini program. In fact, methods are also known as subroutines, okay, which is like a mini program within a program. So I have a big program and I have a smaller program called greet. Cool? All right. So this is a very basic method, and I can call greet a million times. I can call greet again and again. And if I run it, it should print hello, awaya, hello, awaya, hello, awaya 3 times. Okay? Cool. So that's a very basic method. Let's write another one. All right. This method, we're going to make it take in 2 numbers. So I'm going to say public static double, and we'll call it add. Ooh, math. And I'm going to take in a double, let's call it num1, and another double called num2. Alrighty? And what this method is going to do, nothing special. Oops, I spelled double wrong. D-O-U-B-L-E. Okay. What this method is going to do, it's going to take the first number and add it to the second number and then return it to the user. So watch, or to whoever called it. So I'm going to say return num1 plus num2. Now, let's take a look at the differences between this one and greet. Public static is the same, public static is the same. The first one is void, which means it doesn't return anything, which means there's no return statement. It prints something to the screen, but it doesn't give back this fella anything. All right. This one, however, says it returns a double, which means this program or this method right here, when it's over, it's going to give back to whoever called it a double. And it might print it, it might not print it. But right here, inside of add, there's no printing going on. Okay, so let's see what happens. So let me erase this guy. So when I call add, I can't just leave open close parentheses because in this one, I have 2 arguments that it's requiring. So this method add has to have 2 doubles passed into it, separated by commas. Unlike greet, where it took nothing, this one has to have 2 doubles. So I'm going to pass in, I don't know, 4.2, comma, 1.1. All right. So it's going to pass in 4.2. It's going to go into num1. And 1.1 is going to go into num2. And when I get inside this method, it's going to return num1 plus num2, whatever that num1 and num2 were. Okay? So when I run it, watch what happens. It just prints hello, how are ya? Right? Does that mean this method didn't work? No, it sure did work. However, look what happened. It added 4.2 to 1.1 and it returned it. But when it returned it here, I did nothing with it. So main, in this case main, whoever calls add, in this case it's main, has to decide what to do with whatever add returns. So I could do several things. I can print it. I can say syso system.print and then print its result. And we shall see the fruits of this. Run a Java application. 5.3. Okay. So it prints whatever 4.2 plus 1.1 is. Okay, because that's what I wanted to do with it. Now, I could have done something else with it. I could have made another double and called it, sum, and made it equal to that, right? And then I saved it, and then I could say, syso, I could print the sum is, and then I could put sum. Okay, so in this case, when I run it, added these 2 numbers, it saved it in sum, and then I can print it at the end. So I can decide, or rather main decides, what it wants to do with add. So think about it this way. Anytime I call add, I know right away that it's going to take in 2 numbers, 2 doubles, and return the sum of those 2. So it's like a little program within a larger program. Now you could take any number of arguments and parameters. So I could have not just 2, I could have 3, I could 4, I could have 100. Obviously, the more you have, the more complicated it's going to get, or actually the more longer your code's going to be. So you want to make sure that, the number that you pass in, the whatever you pass in is actually meaningful to the method itself. Let's do one more example. Let's do one that takes in a string. So I'm going to say public static void say, and I'll take in a string, and here's my sentence. So here is a method called say, and I'm going to make it say something. I'm going to say so I don't know, let's print quotations. Oh, I know it. I'll say I said, and then I'll make a quotation. Remember, you need a backslash before any quotation. And then I'm going to add sentence. And then I'm going to add my quotation at the end. Okay, so basically what this method does is it takes in a sentence, and it prints I said, and then whatever that sentence was. And that sentence is a string. So public static void, it doesn't return anything, it prints it. So this method prints it. You can choose to return it, but I chose not to. Doesn't matter. Okay, so now when I say, if I say, I don't know, what's something cool to say? I like cookies. Okay, so, forgot the semicolon. So when I run it, it's going to print I said I like cookies, because when I pass in I like cookies into sentence, that becomes the sentence. Of course, I could have called this S to make it simpler. In fact, let's do that. I said I like cookies. So that's how you create a method in Java. And I think that's it.